Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? What it be, what it do? It's your boy King Decker back at it again. I watched the season finale of Arcane this Saturday, and I thought maybe I'd just make a hopefully short video about the way I kind of felt about the whole season and just my overall thoughts on it. So yeah, without turning this channel into an Arcane just related channel in general, I figured I'd just give my ending feelings about the show. And yeah, so here we go. We'll go episode by episode. And of course, these opinions are, at the end of the day, just opinions. And yeah, so if you disagree with them, great. If you agree with them, great. And if I seem overly harsh, it's only because I adore the show so much. So let's get to it. Episode 1, Heavy is the Crown, aka Oops, All Orphans episode. I thought this episode was fine. It was okay. A mostly dull kind of intro to Season 2. Season 1's Episode 1 is kind of hard to compete with when it's in terms of Season 2 comparatively, because Season 1 had the job of setting up all of the characters, showing them when they're younger, giving you kind of this like really, really rich sentimental value that you just kind of place on. Even in like Claggor and Milo, like when they introduce those two characters in Season 1, you're like, wow, okay, this is good. Like they're writing in characters that aren't just, legends. They're writing in like these side characters that are really interesting. Season 2, Episode 1 doesn't really have to do any of that and doesn't actually do any of that. It's more so to set up where things go once the bombing occurs. And, it's okay. Like I said, it's kind of like dull, in my opinion. I will say, I think that Caitlyn's mother, her burial, and the whole scene with that, the art style, the music, that was all very, very well done. Very pretty, a very precious moment, honestly, that set up Caitlyn's character arc for Season 2 and how she is in League of Legends, like on Summoner's Rift more so, without any words. And that's art right there. I think that they did a wonderful job just doing that in general. However, I will say the music videos as an overarching thing in Season 2 was just way too much. It got way too much screen time. Yes, we got Victor Yu-Gi-Oh! Wall of Illusions, yeah, which was something. And at the end of the episode, we have the memorial fight for the counselors where, the Chem Barons and a lot of these Zonites flood into the memorial, and there's a whole, fight that breaks out. Rennie, I think her name is Rennie. This chick. She busts out like the Chempunk chainsword, which was interesting. It was jarring to say the least. You can't really go wrong with chainsaws. Gears of War made an entire franchise off of it. So, I can only deduct so many points from the episode because it's got a chainsaw on it, which is pretty dope. But it was just a little jarring to see this woman who is like the bitchiest of bitches. She just like didn't do anything in Season 1, and then she just like, Rah! You know what I mean? Overall, Episode 1, I give it like a 6 out of 10. It was okay. Episode 2, Watch It All Burn. Vi becomes an enforcer, and the screen time is just kind of never really there. It's not only in this episode that you see her as an enforcer, but I was really, honestly, just disappointed not to see her do more enforcer things or, like, on the strike team, because that's, like, really, really, like, just who she is in League of Legends, which, fair enough. They want to make a drama, and they want to, have this only extend for 2 seasons. They have to cut things, in certain places. But personally, it was just something that I was looking forward to that we never really got a lot of. Caitlyn starts turning into Nazi Caitlyn. And yeah, pretty much everything surrounding Caitlyn's character in general and her over arc, it's very representative of who she is in the game. But I personally did not care. I really didn't. Anytime I saw Caitlyn on the screen, I'm like, okay, yep, cool. All right, whatever, Caitlyn. All right, can we get to Echo? Can we get to Echo? This episode did actually do like a really good job setting up Jinx's character progression, and I was heartbroken. I really wanted them to just kind of stick with it. It starts off with like the really sentimental scene with Silco putting Jinx putting Silco down into the depths of the waters, and him sinking down and having like It was a beautiful moment, and man, I wish I could just have more of that. More character interactions and sentimental moments like that. It was really, really well done, a fantastic intro, and yeah, this episode had Sucker, which is a great song, and it introduces Isha, makes Savika vastly more interesting from season 1, which was fantastic. Like, Savika was much more of a likable character, and you know, going into season 2, I was a little bit concerned with what they were gonna do with Jinx, because I'm like, yeah, what do you do? Is she just the the looming chaos that's just constantly in Zaun now? No, like she was just like, nope, you know, Powder's dead, Jinx is dead, I want to do some good and take care of this, you know, child as like an older sister. It was so beautiful, and I loved every single second that I could get out of it. But of course, the pacing just goes from point A to point Z in these episodes, so you don't get enough of the things that you really, really want, and then some other things that just don't need any attention. They get the attention. Oh, this character. Man, they introduced Smeech in episode 2, and bro, literally Smeech is the best character introduced in season 2. You know, Loris Smeech. I gotta give it to Smeech, man. Dude, I love these types of characters that are like, they're all talk, all bark, no bite for the most part. But you know, in the fight scene, like, he holds his own. He when he's put on the spot, he, like a cornered rat, he fights, he nods. That fight scene in general, definitely the best fight scene in season 2, maybe in the entire show. I thought it was really well choreographed, very well drawn. Even like the music that was with it was just great. But rest in peace, Smeech. Only lasted 1 episode. You know, to be expected, I suppose. Oh, and yeah, and then out of this episode, we got the Victor coming out of the Wall of Illusions and being like, "Oh, you should have destroyed the Hex Core. What is wrong with you?" He's like, "It saved your life, buddy." And he's like, yeah, but you're missing the point. Jace just like looks his best friend in the eyes. He's like, listen, I stopped everything that I thought that I could do for the Piltover people just so I could get back to the lab with you, because we can actually help people with Hex Tech, like me and you, mano y mano, pally pal. And he's just like, no, I don't want to do that. See you, Jace. Bye. I'm gonna go be a messiah. I just like, everything that they did with Victor's character, I'm gonna be honest, like, even the twist at the very end, which we'll get to, that being said, half the episode I love. Half of episode 2 is fantastic, and I love every little bit of it. The other half of the, you know, episode 2, there's a lot that I just could have done without, so I probably give this like a 7. I'll give it a 7. Episode 3 finally got the name right. We start off the episode with the Enforcers going underground in like this comic book style a montage. The music was actually pretty good, and you know, the art style was really cool. I just felt like it didn't really need to be there. It felt out of place. I feel like they should have just shown you know, the Enforcers doing things more than like this. Man, just too many music videos. You had the Vi Caitlyn kiss scene in this episode, which, you know, we all knew it was coming at, you know, a certain point, but I feel like they just pulled the string on the pin on it just too early. I feel like they did it at like the most mediocre time possible. She was like, don't change, like, never change. And then she changes like 10, 15 minutes later in the episode, and you're like, okay. Like, it takes away so tremendously from everything that just happened beforehand, you know what I mean? And just in general, pretty much, I know other people love everything surrounding Caitlyn, Vi, and Jinx, but like all the drama for the most part surrounding these characters, I just don't really care for, especially when it's like Caitlyn Jinx, Caitlyn Vi, Vi Jinx, you know what I mean? Especially the Vi Jinx, because I feel like they handled everything so well with their dynamic as sisters in season 1, that once they get into season 2, it feels like the writers just don't really want to commit to one thing or another. They have like this back and forth. I think season 1 handled Vi Jinx way better than season 2 did. And I think they had like a satisfactory ending to it. I feel like really they could have just been like, hey, my sister is dead. Like, all that is left is Jinx now. That was actually one of the main things that they were teasing with the opening trailer for season 2. And so you're like, oh, that's kind of what you're expecting. But they just keep hashing back and forth as the season goes on. And Vi keeps trying to connect with her sister, gives up on her sister, keeps trying to connect with her sister, gives up. The introduction for the Black Rose was super, super well done. Loved all of that. Kind of like had me at the edge of my seat. I was like, oh, shoot. Who are they introducing? I didn't actually make the connection of the Black Rose at first either. It took me a while, like until like the next episode to be like, oh, right, Black Rose, the chains, okay. Makes a lot more sense now. Really, really cool though, and it was done early enough to actually matter. Heimer and Echo breaking into the lab was super, super adorable. I loved every second of it. I love their dynamic. Anytime that those two are on the screen, it's great. But, like, that's kind of like the first time that you actually get to see them do anything, right? There was a lot of, like, even in season 1, just Echo gets so gimped, man. Like, you don't really get much of Echo in season 1. Season 2's not that much different until the end, and thank God, they changed that by the end of it. But yeah, these like nice little moments where Echo and Heimerdinger are doing things, they're few and far between, but they are really, really great. And this is where Echo meets Jace, and he's like, former pupil, meet my new pupil. And they get to have, discussions with one another. I wish they had more time to spend together because Jace has this problem, or the writers have like this interesting thing with Jace where he never settles on anything. Ever. Somebody tells him to do something, and he just takes it for granted and does it. It is like my biggest gripe with Jace's character because I love his story, but my God, they never give him any sort of like moral ground to stand on. It's always like, Hextech is bad. Oh God, Hextech is bad, isn't it? But look, it's helping people. But look, it's helping people! We should bring Hextech to the Undercity and use it as weaponry. Hextech can't be weaponry, that's not right, is it? We should do that. Oh, we should do that, though. You're right. It's just like, they never... Jace has no fucking backbone in the show, and it drives me crazy until the end. Obviously, a lot of these things get remedied by the end, but, like, throughout Season 2, it just drives me insane, even in Season 1. A third of the episode was kind of dedicated to the fight scene between Caitlyn, Savika, Jinx, and Vi, including Isha there. Really, really great song. The animation, for the most part, was really cool. But throughout Season 2, they kind of, instead of choreographing a lot of fights, they do like these slow panning movements of the two characters. Basically like things that you would have on your screensaver because you're like, oh, cool action shot. But they do it so much. There's a lot of things that they kind of repeat, the creators repeat as like a bread and butter thing that is more so like a curveball that you want to like throw in every once in a while to have like a really big impact. But they do certain things way too much in Season 2, and that's one of them. Like those slow panning like movements or like slowed down frame shots. I had so much of it that I got so sick of it by the end of Season 2, but I will say, though, the fight scene did have Caitlyn's best moment by far in the show, in my opinion, where it was also, I think, just really good writing, because it kind of defies the expectations of a regular cliche moment. You have the hostage situation, where the hostage, actually, in this case, is protecting the person that is to be shot. And Vi's like, no, you can't shoot her, it's a child. And Caitlyn's just taking the shots. She's like, nope, I can hit her, get out of the way, like I can actually shoot her. I actually really, really like that. I think that the writers did an excellent job with that, because you see so many shows, they're like, oh, maybe I can't make the shot. The hostage, like, if I hit them, then it's all for naught. And they always, like, give up their weapons. They were like, no, we're just gonna go for it. Love it. The ending, I will say, is fantastic. The plot twist with Ambessa
is, it's kind of, you can see it coming, but you're happy that you can see it coming. Like, it is the most noxious thing to step into somebody else's country and be like, all right, you guys are running things wrong. We are going to take charge. I'm going to put this person in charge. Like, they manhandle everything. It's so good. It's so true to, like, actual Runeterra and how things work. I loved it. Anything they do with Ambessa's character in general in Season 2 is phenomenal. Huge praise for that.
Overall, I think I would give this episode an 8 out of 10. Episode 4, Paint the Town Blue. And, yeah, do I even need to say it? Another music video. Man, this one is absolutely the worst offender, like, by far. It just doesn't need to be there. It felt like they just didn't really want to put... I don't know, man. It felt like they had a lot of artists, that they had, just in line to be on the show, and they were really, really proud of it and wanted to show the music off. Great. I think that's super cool. But yeah, when it comes to making like a TV show and trying to paint a narrative and, push a story forward, having these types of things in like pretty much every single episode early on was such a hindrance. The time skip forward is shown in this episode by having Caitlyn and Maddie as a thing, which was... Man, it was dumb. I'm gonna just say it the way I think it. It was dumb. Maddie was just kind of used to be like a love interest early on. Obviously, they plugged her in there for a very specific reason later on, which we'll get to. But yeah, every moment between Jinx and Isha in this episode was precious. Just in general, fucking fantastic. It goes without saying. Like even the little scuttle battle. And when Jinx shows back up to the jail cell and says God, you're gonna like miss the next show between the two for like the wrestling. So cute. I love it. I just wish, man, oh man, I wish they kept Isha alive. But yeah, that's for later. Ambessa kind of strong arms before we get into any of that other stuff. Strong arms her way into like the Undercity to get what she wants. Interrupts like a town square like get together where Savika is trying to rally everybody. It's a great moment, and it shows Savika has kind of grown as a character, understands that the Undercity needs to unite and fight as one and not as a bunch of like these separate factions with the Chem Barons. She finally kind of understands what Vander and, to a certain degree, what Silco were going for when they were keeping, stabilization to the underground. Of course, the underground uniting doesn't really last long, and none of it really matters. It just kind of gets pushed to the wayside because the pacing is just so quick. They throw Jinx into like this hero role, which lasts for like maybe 30 minutes of screen time. It just kind of comes and goes. The Undercity uniting together kind of just comes and goes. And by the way, when the people that like worship Jinx are freed from their jail cells, they see Jinx, and there's like this really, it's supposed to be like a very sentimental, yeah, let's go, our leader is here, moment when Jinx shows up to the jail cell and they all like take turns like patting her on the shoulder. But to me, it always just, it felt odd because they're like, this is a person that they only know by name, and have never really actually just like met before, and they're just like, hey, what's up? It's like the equivalent of like meeting like Markiplier at a con, and worshiping him your entire life, and then be like, yeah, what's up, Mark? Good stuff. And then like walking away. It's weird to me. Like, it had a weird disconnect. Everything with like the Warwick like slaughtering people was super dope, and I wanted so much more of it. I wanted more Warwick being Warwick and less Warwick pushing towards Vander and then it not even mattering in the end that he's Vander. Like, I wish they just spent more time with Warwick being Warwick. At the end of the episode, though, I will say, while I feel like it was just done very early, Vander saying powder, with like the Warwick face and like the eyes turning and changing color, it made me fucking like get chills and tear up a little bit. It definitely did, not for nothing. But overall, this episode, man, This was one of my least favorite episodes. I would say probably like a 6 out of 10. Episode 5, Blisters and Bedrock, the true tongue twister. Vi's pit fighting arc lasts for maybe all about like 3 minutes, and it's done, of course, in a music video. Kind of wish we got more of it, but you know, it is what it is at this point. Jinx finds her sister and tries to get her to go into like these underground mines to find Vander, who she says is still alive through Warwick. You know, there's a back and forth. They're like, she's like, I hate you too, and they have like their regular old sister fight.
We get the Mel side plots arc where she becomes a main character, like a actual pro tag. I liked her more as a character in season 1 when she was just somebody who is controlling things from behind the scene and pulling strings. Like, she had like this really good she had like the feeling of somebody with really good intentions who would manipulate anybody that she needs to get things done, essentially. I really liked her character in season 1, but they decided to just change her for the story so she would fit in more with the story or be used as a plot tool.
Singed's reveal as with Oriana and as Dr. Revik was so well done. I can't emphasize enough how really well done that was, because Singed is never named in the show. Like, nobody ever says his name until that very moment. And when that name drop happens, you're like, whoa, damn, dude, that's so cool. So cool. I loved it. Weaved in so beautifully. Jinx and Vi come across Vander's old study, and, you know, there's like that nice moment where Jinx smells her father's jacket, and Vi comes across like a letter that was written from Vander to Silco apologizing for everything that transpired and everything that he had done. And they send out this line of, this could have changed everything, which would have hit a lot better if they showed anything prequel related with what actually happened and the events that led up to it. They just needed to dedicate an episode to it, so, you know, the viewer could come to that decision themselves, in my opinion. But, you know, still not so bad. We get like a nice flashback of Silco, Vander, Jinx and Vi's mom, where she says that she's pregnant and that the two of them need to work together to rally the underground and make Zaun, the nation of Zaun, work. It was really well done. And the family just getting back together in general, I was so here for, man. I was so here for it. You got Vander as Warwick, and they're trying to cure him. You got Isha, who's like a new member to the family, and Jinx and Vi, and it's so cute and it feels so right. But they just use it, man. They use it to keep the plot moving forward, and it drives me fucking crazy. And, oh, of course, at the end of the episode, we get new Jace. And everything from the end of that episode, at the end of this episode, going forward with Jace, is like almost 10 out of 10 material. He's so cool. He turns into like such a badass, finally hits like his principle he's like sticking to. He's like, no, this was all a mistake. I need to destroy Hextech, and I need to, you know, stop all this Arcane. Like, Heimerdinger was right. Like, the end of the world will take place if we let, you know, Hextech continue. So good. Him killing Sallow was not on my bingo card whatsoever, and it was such a welcoming surprise at the very end of the episode. I got fucking chills. I was like, yo, let's go! As far as what I would rate the episode overall, I would say like a 7.5. I thought it was, you know, pretty decent. Episode 6, The Message Hidden Within the Pattern. Caitlyn's grooming arc. Ambessa trains with her physically and mentally to kind of prep her into like this useful ally who she can trust and have like by her side and uses for conquest and gaining like Piltover's just trust in general. And while all this is happening, Vander and the gang arrive to Victor's commune, which is incredibly creepy vibes. Victor, who desperately wants to do good, tries to heal Vander because he sees that it's just a man who's in suffering, who has the potential to be like who he once was, and he's like gonna give everything to bring him back to that. And you get to see like Vander's flashbacks, and like the Remember Me song happens, which is a beautiful song. Everything with that is just really, really wonderful. But you know, while all this is happening, Singed shows up and talks to Victor. The glorious evolution line is dropped in a fantastic way. It's not corny, cheesy at all. And Victor turns Singed down. Singed essentially wants Victor to use Warwick to give himself like eternal life and regenerative properties, so humanity can be saved from themselves. And Victor's like, no, like this is not a specimen. This is just a dude who needs my help, and I'm gonna help him out. And it's nice because you get to see Victor still have like humanistic values, even though he's clearly like a different person. He's been changed by the Arcane, right? Vi meets up with Caitlyn again, and they just instantly like hit it off and become, you know, partners again, like nothing ever happened. Caitlyn drops Ambessa like a penny from the Empire State Building, off screen, nonetheless. None of it has like really any foreshadowing that it's gonna happen. Yet, when Caitlyn brings Vi into the war tent, you immediately know that she's gonna betray Ambessa, and that's all like a ruse. It's, you know, there was no surprises there. And of course, at the end of the episode, Jace Biden blasts Victor, which makes Warwick again. At this point forward, he's just chill, you know, allowing conquest to happen, where he wasn't like 20 minutes ago. You know, he's chill with, as long as he gets to turn people into robots. He also says in like one of the later episodes, he's like, yeah, as long as people are willing to turn into robots for the sake of evolution, then like I'll accept anybody that's willing. That's just a lie. He just does it to everybody regardless, and I guess that's just a lie told to Ambessa just to get her to go along with it, because he needs to. But like, man, like Victor just gets butchered. He really does, like, towards these later episodes. I just care less and less about him. Everything that was likable about him is just out the window. So by the end, when everything, you know, comes to a close, and, like, the resolutions happen, I'm just like, yeah, okay, don't care.
I know that's harsh, but yeah, it is what it is. But I will say, at the end of the episode, Isha's death was, like, heartbreaking in terms of like, man, I really wish they kept this character alive, and B, like, man, it's just hard to see children die, you know, in shows, like, no matter what, especially when Jinx and Isha had just the most, like, perfect relationship. They were so precious, like, two sisters, you know what I mean?
But of course, Isha had to die to push the plot forward and change Jinx once more away from this lovable character and just make her miserable again. Man, like, I would probably give this one, there was a lot of really fun moments to it and a lot of really good moments in general. It gets like a little bit sullied by the end of it, but even just the ending in general with Isha's death is super sentimental. I'm gonna give this like an 8 out of 10. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Episode 7, Pretend Like It's the First Time. 10 out of 10 episode. I will 100% give this rating before I even let you know why. This is just a masterclass in writing and art. This episode was such a breath of fresh air. Just so well done, and claps. Riot Games, yes. Yes, this, all of this. We finally get to see where the Hex Gates sent Echo and Heimerdinger off to. It's an alternate reality where Hextech was never created by Jace, and everything is nearly perfect, other than the fact that you know, Vi is dead in this timeline. But we get to see Milo and Clagger again, all grown up. Jinx is normal. Vander and Silco seem to be kind of like partners in like their bar business. And Echo, of course, gets to see Benzo, his old mentor, again, and like hear him and hug him. And it's so precious. It's so heartbreaking, too, because you know at the end of it, Echo is going to have to leave and, you know, justify leaving despite it being the perfect ending and reality for him to just live in forever. time is a very finite thing in shows. Every single thing that you put up on the screen that is just digested and taken in by people watching is important. You never get any of those seconds back. You have to make sure every single thing that you show people matters and hits, hard, or sets up something that's going to really, really hit hard. Yeah, this episode just wastes no time. It pulls on your heartstrings. It creates a compelling love story that I never thought was going to happen. It has great music, and it's a wonderful send-off to Heimerdinger in general. It also shows how Echo gets his ability from, like, League of Legends itself. It's not rushed, and it all makes perfect sense, right? This is arguably the best episode in Arcane in general. It, at the very least, is a very high contender for first place with all of the best episodes from Season 1, in my opinion. And Echo is just the best character in the show. I mean, anybody that says otherwise, it's great that everybody has their opinions, man. But, man, I have a hard time seeing anybody else that is better put together, at least in Season 2, than Echo. Oh, right, of course. On the side, we get to see Jace, what he's going through and how he came to the conclusion that Hextech is evil and must be destroyed. All of that was super, super great as well. Some, like, serious Dark Souls moments with him creating a bonfire out of bones, and even, like, his pose at the very top of the Hex Gate with the hammer. Oh, man. Everything about this episode, masterclass. Episode 8, Killing is a Cycle. Mel is back and has an interesting conversation with the Black Rose. I like the visuals of Noxian traditions on the battlefield where they bury their soldiers on their battlefield where they died, and then they, like, strike the spear through the stone. It's really, really just great visuals. Victor starts turning people into robots and tries to make a final plea to Jace for him to join him. Which is, I mean, it's interesting, and it felt like kind of out of place at that point, in my opinion, especially because Jace already tried Victor, to get Victor to work with him. Victor's like, I have other things to do. Affection was the only thing that kept us working together in the first place. But now that Jace is, like, at odds with Victor, he's like, oh, join up with me, bro. The fight scene between Jace and the marionette, kind of like esque robot, though, was super, super cool. Really, really well done. And just, like, creepy. Like, I don't know, the movements of the marionette, like, I loved all of it. Jinx is locked up at this point, and, like, suicidal. She's not eating. She's given up on everything. She has a great scene with Silco where he kind of talks to her, like, as a, like a ghost, essentially, or a figment of her imagination, more so, where he tells her that the only way to break the cycle of violence is to just walk away from it. And I think it would have hit, so much harder if they didn't constantly kind of lean on bringing dead characters back for, like, quick moments, just for, like, an impact on, like, a scene. They do it all the time in Season 2. They did it a lot in Season 1, but the fact that they just kept pursuing it and kept putting, like, these characters in for, like, these moments, it makes it lose impact every single time, which I hated because, the scene was so good. And the only thing that I had at the forefront of my mind while it was happening, I was like, man, this again? But it was so good, you know what I mean? The best part of the episode, I think, by far, was Jace trying to rally the Undercity and Piltover to work together against against Noxus and Victor. I just really like the hopeless fight, like, narratives and situations. And I love the fact also that his attempt is met mostly with failure. Most of the people don't have any faith. They abandon the city. And it is just heartbreaking. You're like, man, it really just breaks all hope that you have as a viewer in seeing them. You're like, he's already failed in the past, you know what I mean, in, like, alternate timelines. However, they do end up getting some people from Zon to work with the Enforcers and Piltover as like just this final bastion of hope, like a feels good amidst the chaos. At the end of the episode, Victor obviously raises his robot army, which includes Vander, aka Warwick, like Arclight Warwick at this point. I don't know, man. Overall, though, I would say episode 8, A Killing is a Cycle, is probably about an 8 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good. Maybe an 8.5 actually out of 10. Finally, we have episode 9, the last episode of the season, The Dirt Under Your Nails. We start off with a great scene of Echo trying to stop Jinx from committing Sudoku, sewer slide, whatever you might call it. This is nice. It's like a nice treat for the viewer because you know what both of the characters have gone through, but neither of the characters understand each other's kind of reasoning for trying to do what they're doing. It's a nice little dynamic. The rest of the episode is kind of like a Helm's Deep style hold from the United Piltover and Zon coalition. The fighting is fantastic. The cinematography is all just really immaculate. Everything is just they put so much effort, and kudos to the artists for doing a really good job on all of it. Poor Loris, man, just gets dicked over for absolutely no reason. It makes you wonder why they even really introduced him in the first place. They give him a ton of screen time for him not to just even have a hero moment. He just dies. You know, that's their decision. Some people are probably fine with it. I thought, like, at least they could have given him something. He could have, like, had the hero moment instead of, like, the random, Jin character who was playing the piano have, like, be a hero instead. I just, you know. The Maddie flip was good. I have to say it, like, the Maddie flip was actually really good. And I got to call it as it was happening, which was, you know, it felt pretty nice. I think the world collectively will agree that the instant karma that happens to Maddie is one of the most satisfying things in the entire world. I fucking loved it. I absolutely loved it. Smeb, I think that's his name, at least. I think it's Smeb. As well as, like, Isha are two characters that show you that people that don't even, like, really talk can have, like, really just good actions or reactions that make you love the character and make them really worthwhile. And you don't need dialogue. Some things are just told through facial expressions or just, like, actions in general. So yeah, really good job. I was rooting for him, like, the entire episode. And Bess's death was done, I think, really well. Handled super well. The fight was dope before she died. One thing that I regret that I didn't get to see was more action between Jace and Victor as they were climbing the Hex Gates. I thought maybe we would have, like, dude, if we're gonna already make it, like, have Star Wars elements to Arcane, at least give, like, a cool battle, you know, as they're, like, floating up the Hex Gates, dude. Like, he swung once at Victor and then, like, immediately got subdued, and I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, man. You make Jace, like, one of the coolest, most badass characters, and then he just instantly gets, like, subdued. I really liked Echo, you know, coming and saving the day. He was, like, the only one that didn't get, kind of taken over and like, turned into a robot. So him saving the day, and showing, like, the anomaly to, Victor was super cool. The reveal of Victor as, like, Organization 13 member, was, you know, it was cool for the most part, but I just ended up not caring by the end of it because they kind of just gutted Victor. I just didn't really care. It was good that Jace ended things with his partner. You know, obviously deep down inside I kind of wish that Jace was able to stay alive, but I think him really just going all out and being like, hey, I'm doing this for you. Like, I want to be able to write a happy ending with my partner, and I want my partner back again. That was really good. I did like that a lot. So, you know, the way they ended with Jace and Victor kind of disappearing into, like, the void of space and time wasn't bad. What wasn't good, it wasn't nice, there was nothing fantastic about it, was Jinx's death. I know a lot of people were like, she vented, bro. At the last second, there was a single frame of Violet that dashed off. And I'm like, Okay, yeah, whatever, man. I still don't care. They decided to give a send-off to one of the most beloved or iconic League of Legends characters in the worst, most cliche way possible. Like, you see it coming from a mile away. There's nothing good about it. Like, they once again, like, hit you with this crutch of, like, oh, but Vander, you know, is still in there as Warwick. Like, it's still heartbreaking. Then you see, like, the bolts coming out, and you're just like, whatever, man. Whatever. Felt like kind of a, we can't let Jinx live peacefully in a world that she's committed all these crimes, so she has to go type of situation, whether she's actually dead or not. But, like, man, it was just dumb. It doesn't matter if she's alive or dead because it was so bad, is my point. Vi and Caitlyn get more screen time with their sex scene than, like, the aftermath of the fight or Vi being able to mourn her sister. In my opinion, there was just better ways they could have prioritized their time in the show, or at least, sorry, in season 2 in general. But that's my piece on it. I think overall the episode was probably, there was a lot of really good moments to it. I wish the end didn't happen. It would have been, if the end with Jinx didn't happen, I would say it would be a 9 out of 10. But because of the whole Jinx thing, it's probably like an 8 out of 10. Overall, if I had to rate season 2, it's like a 6.5, a 7 out of 10. On season 1 is like a 9.5, maybe even just a 10 out of 10. Season 1 was just something that I never even imagined to be possible from Riot Games. I was expecting great things from Riot Games because they've always made these stellar cinematics and music videos. Like, they bring in like some of the best artists and spend a lot of time and dedicated resources of money to make good things. I'm sorry, not even good things, great things. And season 1 was like no different. Season 1 was just everything that happened on screen was like heart-tugging. The characters' motivations all made sense. And man, and they left it on like just such a beautiful cliffhanger. Season 2, I had high expectations for. Obviously, I think everybody did. And I was disappointed. I think only episode 7 could I have really said that, yes, this is like the Arcane that I signed up to watch. Like, I'm so happy that overall, I'm happy that I watched season 2. But by the end of it, I'm like, man, episode 7, perfection. I could watch that any day, all day. And I wish all the rest of the episodes kind of followed, the same impact as episode 7. But, not everything can be a banger. They did the best job that they possibly have could with just, having to end things in season 2. You know what I mean? If they actually had a season 3, I think they would have been able to pace this out way better. The things that I mostly had problems with, they wouldn't have even been problems. Because most of those problems that I had with the show, they were pacing issues. They were like, it was something that happened that like had to resolve itself really quickly because it had to move on to the next thing, or it had to get used as a device to move the plot forward. So it is what it is at the end of the day, and I'm looking forward to Riot Games' next venture with what I'm hoping will be maybe like Demacia and Noxus. That would be really cool. There's a lot of really cool things in both of those areas, and it would make sense with Demacia, especially with the kind of theme of magic and the Arcane. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I, obviously do not do a ton of this type of content. I actually am writing a book right now called Marth's Dungeon. It's based off of a TTRPG that I created. I appreciate you guys all watching. Have yourselves a lovely rest of your evening. And as always, stay beautiful. Peace.